world echoed with cries of conflict, and power seemed to silence peace and harmony.
A young yogi, a revolutionary, set foot in Pondicherry. He was revered as the patriot of India's freedom, and the British saw him as the most dangerous man in India. Sri Aurobindo grappled with and rose from the darkness out into the sunlit path. Sri Aurobindo's father wished to make him a perfect English gentleman, so at a very young age he was sent to England. He graduated notably from the University of Cambridge. That was at the beginning of 1890s. In 1893, Sri Aurobindo returned to India, his homeland, where a deep and profound calm enveloped him, which, as he himself has said, never left him. In 1908, Sri Aurobindo's spiritual poise was disturbed by his incarceration in connection with the Alipur bomb blast. In the jail, he had the experience of the divine in all living and inanimate objects. This established a settled relationship with the divine. Eventually, he charted out a spiritual path which led him to the recognition and revelation of what he called the supermind. He sought to realize the influences of the higher spiritual consciousness not only in an individual, but upon a collective mass of individuals. The mother arrived, first in 1914 and then in 1920, to settle down in Pondicherry to collaborate with Sri Aurobindo on the grand adventure of consciousness. Mira Alfasa was from France. She was a gifted child who had metaphysical experiences even as a child. Her collaboration with Sri Aurobindo charted out a proper spiritual discipline of triple transformation: the mental, the vital, and the physical. The mother's own experience was similar to Sri Aurobindo's and what he called the supermind she had experienced in 1912. She had attempted to communicate her vision to a European group. A vision of a future based on human unity, the creation of an ideal society. When she returned to Pondicherry permanently in 1920 to work together with Sri Aurobindo, the certitude of the manifestation of supermind was realized. Together they have promised that the supramental world will be realized on the earth. Mother had seen a perfect society which she expressed in a short essay known to us as a dream. Creation of a dream city which no nation could claim as its own, where all human beings of goodwill would have a sincere aspiration, could live freely as citizens of the world and obey one single authority, that of the supreme truth, a place of peace, concord, and harmony, where all the fighting instincts of man would be used exclusively to conquer the causes of his sufferings and miseries, to surmount his weaknesses and ignorance, to triumph over his limitations and incapacities. A place where the needs of the spirit and the concern for progress would take precedence over the satisfaction of desires and passions. The search for pleasure and material enjoyment. She named that dream Auroville.
She wrote to Roger Anger, a well-established architect in Paris. Roger promptly replied in agreement, becoming a pioneer in setting the foundation stone in the building of this overarching dream. Mother described to him her vision of having the evolution of a township in the pattern of a hibiscus flower. Roger saw beyond his professional position, as he mentioned in an interview. It's not about building a new city, it's about building a new man.
On the 2nd of February, a large orange and white balloon illuminated the site of a barren plateau, a location which was soon to be overflowing with people from every corner of the world. Soil from 124 nations and 20 Indian states were accumulated in the hands of the youth.
And I had a feeling that the atmosphere was being a participant of the Olympic Games, totally international. And I found the whole world there in this little town in Chile. So I was moved and enthusiastic, and you found all the people to talk to. And all the buses were there, I guess about 2,000 people gathering around the amphitheater. You have seen, no? There I am being, how do you say, an empty shell to receive these impressions.
They walked along with placards of their respective countries and a handful of earth. A single flag waved, the flag of the mother. With the help of All India Radio, Mother sitting in her room about 10 kilometers away in Pondicherry read out the words of welcome and the Charter of Auroville.
Greetings from Auroville to all men of goodwill. Are invited to Auroville all those who thirst for progress and aspire to a higher and truer life. Auroville Charter. Auroville belongs to nobody in particular. Auroville belongs to humanity as a whole. But to live in Auroville, one must be the willing servitor of the Divine's consciousness. Auroville will be the place of an unending education, of constant progress, and a youth that never ages. Auroville wants to be the bridge between the past and the future, taking advantage of all discoveries from without and from within. Auroville will boldly spring toward future realizations. Auroville will be a site of material and spiritual researches for a living embodiment of an actual human unity.
And then the barren plateau was brought to life.
From the beginning, we had found our oneness and our unity when we worked together. One of the most marvelous places to do that was at Machimathe. It was a completely sublime experience to do the concretings together, to pass the chettis full of the concrete mixture, to feel the oneness, the bodily oneness that exists. Doesn't matter what color of skin, what language you speak. It gave us a physical sense of unity, and once you've had that experience of a collective unity, whether you're working in education with the various representative types that have gathered in Auroville, whether you're working together in Matrimandir, whether you're trying to create systems of economy, of governance, of education, of environmental change, whole point of Oroville is that people learn to work together. And this, I would say, is one of the other successes, that largely Orovillians have worked really very well together in the long term, in spite of all the difficulties.
After 50 years, in 2018, the world has been weathered by a sea of change. Nations have been ravaged by wars, pollution has increased manifold, and forests have dwindled into barren lands. But a once barren plateau by the sea quietly bloomed into a lush coastal haven, Auroville, a home to thousands aspiring to realize the vision of a better, unified future. The spirit of Auroville dwells in each of them, as much as they dwell in Auroville. According to the galaxy plan, the hub of Auroville is the peace area and houses the Matrimandir, the symbol of an emerging era of higher consciousness.
Auroville has a conscious center, it has a soul, and this soul is in some ways unique because it is a representative, it's a symbol which represents the conscious force that creates the universe, the force of wisdom, the force of power and strength, the force of harmony, beauty, sweetness, and the force of skill in works and perfection. These are universal forces that have given birth to this earthly life, and we have at the center a soul that wants to symbolize these forces because it's trying to tell the Aurovillians that that's your center. Can you find within yourself this fourfold personality, wisdom, which is a balance of wisdom, strength, harmony, and perfection? Each of us embodies many powers. Auroville is about touching that integrality where we awaken in a conscious, systematized, methodized manner, doing our work as a yoga.
The city radiates outward from the peace area into 4 main zones: international, industrial, residential, and cultural. These zones are enwreathed by the Greenbelt, an area dedicated to flora and fauna. The international zone is an area of various national pavilions to discover cultural diversity, surpass conflict, and to open new doors of understanding. Tibetan Pavilion is dedicated to the essence of Tibetan culture. His Holiness Dalai Lama, the patron of the pavilion, laid the foundation stone in December 1993. Auroville awaits with open doors to welcome future pavilions from around the world to be a part of this beautiful journey. The industrial zone is a space for socio-economic experiment, including innovation in small-scale and large industries.
Basically, we collect flowers and leaves, we work with things in nature, which we pluck and press, or seeds which we gather from trees and convert into different products like earrings, necklaces, bracelets. We grow our own flowers in our garden. We also collect grasses and leaves from around Auroville and in the fields where there's lots of water. We make cards, we make stationery, we make different interior items like lampshades, trays, coasters, and we make things with seeds.
Purtu Distribution Center efforts itself as an experiment in search of a no-money economy.
The ideal of Auroville is that we all are servitors of this big thing that sustains Auroville. And we are servitors, and our work is being offered, is our offering to the divine, so that Auroville can bloom, and we help to maintain it and to develop it. So in that sense, the work is not something to gain a salary, and it is not also to enter into competition with others, no? The idea is that the collective, the community, maintains us with all our basic needs covered, so that we can work. We don't need to worry about what we are going to eat, or where we are going to get the money to eat or to dress. So right now, the community provides for us a basic maintenance that we call, where it gives us enough to get our food here in Portus, to get our dress, to get our basic needs in terms of transport, in terms of communication. And then we have services like health and education, which is free to everybody now. So these are the basic principles of our economy, no? Another very important principle is that nothing in Auroville belongs to us as residents here. The buildings, the houses, the land, it belongs to the Auroville Foundation. So we can donate money to build a house where we are going to live, but it doesn't belong to us. We cannot sell it. So in that sense, we learn to be detached from the material possessions, no? And that's also a very important part of our economy, no?
Aptly named, the solar kitchen derives power from the sun to lovingly prepare meals for over 1,000 patrons every day. Hygiene is a top priority in the kitchen that prepares freshly sourced produce from various farms in Auroville.
We are in residential zone, sector 2, and this is Progress Community, which is the beginning of one of the smallest line of force. Residential zone is, primary function is to provide predominantly residential land use, which will of course all be also mixed with appropriate amenities and facilities which are required to support the residential living. This is sector 2 of residential zone, and there are many communities which have come up over a period of time. Many of them came up following the initial plan ideas, and now we also have the detailed development plan for sector 1 and 2, where it has been highlighted how the new development or development parameters will be laid out. So there has been a focus of providing and creating more housing solutions, and they have been coming in the last about 5-6 years in residential zone 1 and 2. Many new projects have come, some are still undergoing construction, some are about to complete. So these are the areas where more focus has been given to come up with more housing solution which will meet the requirement of increasing population of Auroville.
The cultural zone focuses on practice and research in art and other creative endeavors. It provides a platform for the people to showcase and share their ethnic diversity.
Me toca a mí hoy emprender la retirada. Debo alejarme de mi buena muchachada. Adiós muchachos, ya me voy y me resigno contra el destino. Nadie la calla. Se terminaran para mí todas las farras. Mi cuerpo enfermo no resiste más. Acuden a mi mente recuerdos de otros tiempos, de los buenos momentos que antaño disfruté, cerquita de mi madre santa viejita, y de mi noviecita que tanto idolatré. ¿Se acuerdan que era hermosa, más linda que una diosa, y que abrió yo de amor le di mi corazón? Mas el Señor celoso de sus encantos un hundiéndome en el llanto, se la llevó.
From the beginning, Mother says that Auroville is, she says, Auroville is a place of unending education, constant progress, and a youth that never ages. How do you create this youth that doesn't age? It can only be created in a condition where people, their core condition is the need to grow and to progress in consciousness in all the parts of the being. The human being is a complex being. There is a mind, there is the life, and there is the body. The body is the base and the pedestal. But behind the mind, life, and body, which is our instrumental nature, we have a soul. We have a conscious representative of the universal soul of the earth, and that exists within us. It's kind of the immanent Godhead. So each one has to seek that divinity within in their own way. There is no fixed method that you can apply to everybody. Each one has to find their pathway, but there are some broad perspectives. Anything that is fixed limits you. So the first methodology that nature uses is the freedom to grow in your own way, but to grow, not the freedom to vegetate and languish. Free progress is, in a sense, an education that is guided by the spirit and the soul within us, the immanent center of consciousness, which is our true center, which is our true being. It's guided by that, but it is not governed by preconceived ideas, by habits, by conventions. So there is something to be discovered. Auroville's charter says that we have to take advantage of discoveries. There are inner discoveries, there are outer discoveries. When you look at Auroville, we are a center of research. We are a center of study, we are a center of experimentation. The educational processes are similar also. They are a research and a study in creating conditions whereby this inner change can be accelerated. Sri Aurobindo quotes Swami Vivekananda and says that yoga is a means by which, it's an accelerated means by which you can compress your evolution into a single lifetime, even into some years or even some months. So Auroville is a condition, it's a collective condition whereby individuals, whether they are 9 years old or 90, are here to accelerate their evolutionary change into the divinity that is the core truth of their being and their consciousness, to accelerate into that self-finding and to bring that self-finding into life and action in Auroville.
Deha Shakti, the physical training campus of Auroville, embodies Mother's thoughts on the role of physical education. Fundamental skills like speed, strength, power, resistance, stamina, endurance, and agility are developed according to individual capacity to promote a healthy and fit lifestyle.
how you are in IKM school where Auroville receives 258 children from the neighboring villages every day at 8:30 in the morning and keep them here till 5:30 when their parents are away to do some work. These children are given education as well as what they need for the whole day, that is, the snacks and the lunch. Auroville has its own method about education, integral education, and in this method people do see children as a focus rather than the curriculums which is being focused by institutions these days. So anything that you want to throw in the classroom, obviously the first thing thrown in is the child, and the child has to be understood and all its domains have to be understood well. Then according to the capacity of the child, yes, we try to give the facts that are given in the form of books to the children. Of course, the methods here is learning by doing. So children do things, and they do lots of experiments, they touch things, they hear things, they smell things. Then they try to understand anything that is being given to them holistically. So this holistic approach is really creating an environment where both teachers and the children are happy. In fact, the only success or achievement of the school or the team of teachers who are here is we somehow taken out even the shade of fear on children's face. That you cannot see. So the children are really enjoying what they are doing here. So learning is happening when they are really happy. So they want to do it, they want to participate, they are working as team. So yes, children are there as a small teams, and they kind of learn together. So this is what we say that yes, we are a little different from there. So when we talk about this holistic education, yes, a child has to be understood from its level. And if we find that yes, a child is really having so many areas where the child is so strong, there are some areas, we do find, because our children are from the villages, most of them are from illiterate families, so they do have lots of learning disabilities, but we do not see that as a disability. We do say that yes, you are doing so many things well, but yes, this domain is a little lacking. And we do have special ed teachers. They don't call themselves as special ed teachers, but they are calling supportive learning helpers. So they come and help those children. Therefore, we don't worry about leaving some children behind the class. So all children are pretty much together. They are included. So it is inclusive. So they do go out of their classrooms for a couple of hours per week to special supportive learning rooms, and there they are nurtured according to their needs. So this is how kind of they are brought back to the student community.
The Greenbelt encircles the 4 zones with a lush cover of forestry, populated by a vivid biota. The belt is dedicated as a sanctuary for the preservation of natural diversity and is dotted with farms, orchards, and meadows. The Auroville Botanical Gardens was established in a response to the disappearing tropical evergreen cover along the Coromandel coast and addresses the global need for the conservation of genetic diversity in the plant kingdom across the prevalent climatic conditions.
For Oroville in the future, I think we've been given very clear ideals and the aim is there. Then often it looks far, but it's in the day-to-day that we try to make small differences, I guess. If we think only about how far the future is and how little we've achieved, it doesn't allow you to feel that we're moving forward in the small steps of the day-to-day. But in so many ways, the fact that Oroville is celebrating 50 years in the next few months, and that so many of us are here for this dream and this project, it shows that it will continue. And one of the quotes that I like is that Oroville will be regardless of the Orovillians. It takes some of the pressure off that no matter if it's us or somebody else, and whether we do well or we don't, that dream is there and it'll happen at some point. We have to do the best we can and just show sooner if we do well.
"50 years, the barren plateau of mother's choosing has bloomed into a sanctuary of nature and soul. An oasis shaded from a desert of indifference, all forms of life find respect and love here, regardless of size, strength, or origin. The beauty of coexistence is cherished and conserved." On the occasion of the 50th anniversary celebration of Auroville in 2018, A symbolic water ceremony was held as a prayer for the conservation of the life-sustaining resource. Water from countries around the world was poured into the golden disc, symbolically unifying the people and the efforts to conserve water. Auroville dawned as a much-needed effort towards a common goal of higher and conscious living. The journey offered little luxury, but the opportunity to work towards progress and harmony was as exciting then as it is now. The sun was never to set on this endeavor of realizing this vision. Every day, acts of kindness and passionate pursuits of progress chronicle the growth of the city. Auroville is a journey to realize aspirations of those who share the vision. Commemorating the genesis of this journey that started with the arrival of Sri Aurobindo in Pondicherry on 4th April 1910, a ray of sunlight is guided towards the crystal globe from the eastern side of the Matrimandir on this day every year. Auroville as a ray of hope has grown from seed to sapling in 50 years. The journey, albeit challenging, has always been towards the light.